In the heart of the world, there was a place called the Whispering Swamp. It was not a scary place. It was a magical place. The reeds whispered secrets to the wind. The fireflies danced like tiny floating lanterns. The water was as clear as glass, showing the stars above. And in this swamp lived a very peculiar frog. Her name was Lumi. She was small, and her skin shimmered with a soft silvery light. She was not like the other frogs who sang loud songs and jumped for flies. Lumi was quiet. She watched the world with wise old eyes. Lumi was different in many ways. She did not croak like the other frogs. Instead, she spoke in riddles. What has no voice but tells all stories? She might ask, pointing a slender toe toward the flowing water. The other frogs would just blink. They did not understand her strange words. Lumi could read the wind. She could feel a storm coming long before the clouds gathered. She knew which way the river would turn before the current shifted. But most of all, Lumi loved the moon. She said she was once a star, a tiny piece of light that had fallen from the night sky long, long ago. Every night, while the other frogs slept, Lumi would find the biggest lily pad. She would sit there for hours just looking up. The moon was her friend. It was her family. She would whisper stories to it, tales of the sky and the stars she remembered. The moon would listen, or so Lumi believed. It bathed her in a gentle, white glow, making her shimmer even brighter. The other creatures of the swamp, the sleepy turtles and the silent herons, grew used to the sight of the little frog who spoke to the moon as if it were an old dear companion. The swamp's magic was tied to the moon. When the moon was full and bright, the flowers glowed with an inner light. The water sparkled with tiny diamonds. The whispers of the reeds were clearer, telling stories of ancient times and forgotten magic. Lumi felt this magic more than anyone. She felt the moon's pull in her tiny heart. She believed its light was what kept her own shimmer alive. It was the thread that connected her, the fallen star, to her home in the vast dark sky. The moon was the keeper of the swamp's dreams and its most precious secret. One evening, something was terribly wrong. Lumi hopped to her favorite lily pad. She looked up at the sky, ready to greet her friend, but the sky was empty. It was a blanket of black velvet with no silver button. The moon was gone, not hidden behind a cloud, not a thin sliver. It was simply gone. A great silent emptiness had taken its place. The stars seemed small and afraid without their glowing queen. The whispering swamp held its breath. The silence was heavy and dark. Lumi's heart felt cold. The world felt wrong. Without the moon, the magic of the swamp began to fade. The glowing flowers dimmed to a dull gray. The water lost its sparkle and became dark and murky. The fireflies, usually so joyful, flickered weakly and then hid among the cattails. Even the whispers of the reeds grew faint and sad, like the sighs of a forgotten ghost. The other frogs noticed it too. They felt a strange fear. Their songs were nervous and quiet. The swamp, once so full of life and light, was slowly falling into a deep, dreamless sleep. It was losing its soul. Lumi felt the change more than anyone. Her own silvery shimmer began to fade. She looked at her reflection in the dark water and saw a plain green frog looking back. The memory of being a star felt distant, like a dream she could no longer hold. A great sadness filled her. The moon was not just a light in the sky. It was her connection to who she was, to her past. Without it, she was just a small lost frog in a darkening swamp. A deep fear settled in her heart. She knew she had to do something. She had to bring the moon back. But how? She was so small. The sky was so big. She remembered a riddle her mother, the sky, had taught her. To reach a great height, you must first look down for might. Lumi knew she could not do this alone. She needed help. She needed someone who knew the secrets of the earth, someone who had roots deep in the swamp's soil. Her quest was too big for one small frog. She needed a friend, a companion to help her remember the path back to the light and to leap higher than she ever had before. Lumi knew who she had to find. Deep in the thickest part of the swamp, under the roots of an ancient cypress tree, lived a grumpy toad named Boro. Boro was an herbalist. He knew every root, every leaf, and every mushroom in the swamp. He was always busy, grinding herbs with a stone pestle and muttering to himself about the foolishness of the young frogs. Boro did not like surprises, and he did not like visitors. Lumi took a deep breath. She hopped carefully toward the cypress tree, her fading light barely visible in the gloom that had fallen over the swamp. She found Boro stirring a pot of smelly, bubbling mud. "The sky is broken," Lumi said softly. Boro didn't look up. "The sky is the sky," he grumbled. "It does what it wants. Go away. I am busy." Lumi stood her ground. "The moon is gone," she insisted. "The magic is fading. My light is fading. I was once a star, and I need to remember how to leap high enough to call the moon home. Boro finally stopped stirring. He looked at Lumi with his big, bulging eyes. A star? You are a frog, a silly, shimmering frog. Lumi did not argue. Instead, she offered him a riddle. I have no top, no bottom, but I hold everything. I have no voice, but I cradle every song. What am I? Boro grunted, annoyed. He thought for a long moment, his warty brow furrowed. He looked at the silent swamp around them, at the still water and the drooping reeds. Silence, he finally croaked. The answer is silence. Lumi nodded. The silence is growing, she said. Soon it will hold everything, and there will be no songs left at all. Will you help me? Boro looked from Lumi's pleading eyes to his collection of wilting magical herbs. He knew she was right. The moon petal flowers were drooping. The river moss was turning brown. His own work, his own magic, depended on the moon's light. With a great heaving sigh, he wiped his hands. Fine, he grumbled, but no more riddles. The old tales say a star frog needs a moon petal potion to remember the way home. It requires 3 things: a tear from a sleeping willow, the last echo of a frog's song, and a spark from a fallen star. A fool's errand. Lumi and Boro began their quest. The grumpy toad knew where to find the sleeping willow. They found the ancient tree weeping silvery sap into the dark water. It was a tear for the lost moon. Boro carefully collected a single drop in a vial. Next, they needed the last echo of a frog's song. This was harder. The frogs were too scared to sing, but Lumi remembered a place, a hidden grotto where sounds lingered. She led Boro there and whispered the notes of an old lullaby. A faint, beautiful echo answered them, and Boro captured it in a jar. The final ingredient was a spark from a fallen star. This is impossible, Boro grumbled. There is only one fallen star here, and that is you. Lumi looked at her own reflection. Her shimmer was almost gone, but she knew what she had to do. The spark is not something you find, she whispered. It is something you give. She focused on the memory of the moon, on the feeling of its light. With all her might, she pushed out a tiny, brilliant spark from her own heart. It landed in Boro's potion, which began to glow with a soft white light. Boro gave the glowing potion to Lumi. When she drank it, memories flooded her mind. She was not a frog who was once a star. She was a frog born from a moonbeam that had touched a dewdrop on a lily pad. Her purpose was not to return to the sky, but to be the moon's guardian in the swamp, its little light on the water. The moon was not gone forever. It had been pulled into a deep, magical sleep by a passing shadow comet. To wake it, a call of pure hope had to reach it. A leap of faith. With Boro's help, Lumi climbed to the top of the tallest cypress tree. The swamp below was dark and quiet. You can do this, Boro said, his voice surprisingly gentle. You are the swamp's hope. Lumi looked up at the empty sky. She gathered all her strength, all her courage, and all her love for her home. She leapt. Higher and higher she flew, a tiny silver arrow of hope. As she reached the peak of her jump, she let out a croak. It was not a riddle. It was a clear, pure call of belonging. Far away, the moon heard. A tiny sliver of light appeared, and the swamp began to glow once more. Lumi had found her true place, not in the sky, but as the brave heart of the whispering swamp.